What's up, everybody? It's time for another CALIBRIA Crystal Guardians video. Now, I know a lot of you guys like to re-roll until you get some crazy cool OP NAT 5, and then you feel like you have a good foundation. You can build teams around that, so you'll keep resetting the game until you get something cool. So today, we're going to talk about some of the NAT 5s that people are super hyped about, some of the more powerful ones that if you're looking to re-roll, you might want to re-roll until you at least get one of these units. Okay, to get things started, we're not going in any specific 10 through 1 specific order of what's better than what. We're just going to go element by element, the three main elements, lawful, chaotic, and evil. Most of the ones people are excited about are actually in evil, probably like half of them, right? So we have two, though, that I think are really solid in the lawful faction. The first one is Elven Queen. Okay, so think about Elven Queen as she's a support unit, right? She's a support unit. First skill, defense break. Second skill, this is a shield and attack power buff. Now, if you're coming from Summoner's War, which I know a lot of you that are watching this are probably coming from Summoner's War, this is similar to Bastet. However, it doesn't increase the attack gauge, right? It doesn't have anything to do with energy. They call it in this game, they call it energy. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just the shield and attack power buff. So keep that in mind if you want to go turn 1. This is not going to make your team go turn 1. It's just a shield and attack power buff. This, however, the Elven Horn will do that. Restore 30% of allies' energy, which means boost their attack gauge, and haste them for 2 turns. So this is similar to Bernard. I don't want to make a whole bunch of comparisons to Summoner's War, but let's be honest, I do want to make a whole bunch of comparisons to Summoner's War, and that's the easiest way to explain it to people as well. So this is a Bernard, and this is kind of like Bernard Bastet-ish. Except for no attack gauge boost here. Yes, attack gauge boost here. This one, reduce all enemies' energy by 50% and restore allies' HP by 30%. I don't know, it's like half of a support skill for you, but sometimes you don't need to heal. And then the reduce enemies' energy, like, okay, that's nice, but for NAT 5, I feel like I kind of want like a little bit more control. Like be all control or be all support healer immunity, right? However, this I would definitely use on it. Call forth ancient elven blessings to grant immunity for 3 turns and invincibility for 1 turn. 3-turn immunity is super good. Super good. I don't know if that I would necessarily re-roll for this because I feel like, oh, I kind of want to re-roll for DPS units. But this is actually a really immunity for 3 turns is really good. Really, really good. And invincibility, of course, as well. And this goes down to 6 turns, which the cooldown is a little bit long. Maybe they'll reduce it in a patch in the future, because I feel like it's just a little bit long for NAT 5, right? And then the passive Soul Chant, I would honestly just use Elven Protection and probably Elven Horn. And this is probably going to do wonders for you in, like, everything. I feel like this is probably just going to do, and make her very fast, right? I think she has, oh, I thought it was HP, actually. So she has Resistance Leader skill. 55 in Guild Wars. We'll see how the resistance and accuracy actually works in this game. Or it's not accuracy, sorry. It's not accuracy, it's hit percentage. And then this remain on the battlefield as a spirit to inspire around. But honestly, I like this Elven Protection the best. I like this best and I like this best. Some people might want to do this Queen's Edict. Excuse me, I burped. More than the Elven Horn, but honestly, I would run her with these two. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, she's not a bad. I don't know if I would re-roll for her, but she's a really good support unit. Next on the list is something not too many people are very excited about. The biggest complaint I see with people talking about him is he doesn't do that much damage. Okay, so let's talk about the Dragoon. He's a defense. First off, he's a defense-based unit, right? So you build him tanky. He's got 1353 base defense, his 664 attack. Let's go to his skill tree and let's see what he's. I mean, you can see that he's not an attack type unit. You can see that he's not going to do a whole tremendous amount of damage. So why do I think he's good then? Well, clearly we need all attack type units, right? Right, Bagel? Not necessarily maybe a unit that you would want to like go crazy trying to re-roll for because he may not be that exciting early game, but in the end game, especially in what Apex Arena, is that what that's what they're calling it? I think he's got a lot of potential. So skill one, you'll notice once you figure it out, you'll notice. You'll agree with me. Skill 1, damage based on attack and defense, dispels one of the target's buffs. Okay, not bad, not anything crazy. AoE, this is nice. 10% chance to stun enemy, right? Because it attacks all enemies 5 times. Stuns, chance to stun. If enemies are not stunned at the end of the attack turn, 80% chance to taunt. So it's going to CC in one way or another. Not that bad. This other option, this is kind of interesting. It's a duel, so it's kind of almost like a threat state for one single unit. Like, you go into duel mode with one other unit, and the duel status ends when the other, when the enemy is killed, right? So you can basically just like focus on this one unit and take them not out of the battle, but they only get to fight you. So that's interesting. I haven't played with this. I don't own this unit, but I kind of more excited about this Dragon's Breath. This one is more just like a tanky skill. When own HP exceeds 50%, grant 10% of HP to the ally with the lowest percent. Like, okay, that's nothing too. I don't think that's anything super crazy. Royal Offense, when being hit by a critical strike, recover 10% of own HP. Excuse me, 20% chance to counter the target when hit with a crit. Okay, not bad for tankiness, but not anything super crazy. I'm so excited about that, right? This one, Knight's Glory, is the one. This is, I would build it like, I would build it Dragon's Breath and Knight's Glory. Reduce damage taken by 20%. Okay, damage mitigation. When allies are attacked, 20% chance to counter the attacker. Trigger rate goes up twice, so it's going to be 30%. 30% chance to counter and strip. Wait a second. Are we figuring it out yet? Are we figuring it? This is the Artemiel. This is the Artemiel of CALIBRIA Crystal Guardians. This right here is the Artemiel. We have a strip skill 1, and we have the chance to counter with this. And then we have the defense leader skill. But this would be like an Artemiel that also has an AoE CC on him. So I think he's really potentially good end game. But early game, how many people are excited to get Artemiel early game in Summoner's War? Like, they know that he's great end game. But early game, they're like, he doesn't do enough damage. Of course, Artemiel doesn't do crazy amounts of damage early game. People are very excited about the DPS units. However, this is a pretty solid unit for end game, I feel. I'm gonna call it, this is gonna be a viable, a pretty good unit for, it's Artemiel. It's an Artemiel with an AoE CC. Moving on to the Chaotic faction, the Draconic Princess. Not too many people hyped to specifically reroll for this unit necessarily, and I think she's more of an endgame build. Or not an endgame build, an endgame unit. So she's a tanky unit, which means she's not going to do a lot of damage. Not a lot of people very excited about building her early game because, oh, she doesn't do that much damage. Oh, food. That's the early game mentality, right? Let's take a look at this, but you see her HP is crazy high, her speed is okay, her attack and defense are nothing super insane. Violent Strike, so this is HP regen lock is basically distribute HP recovery, right? So we've got this AoE, but it's not a crazy amount of damage, because again, she's not an attack type unit. Burn enemies affected with HP regen lock. It's not something I'm super excited about. A lot of people aren't super excited about because it doesn't do a crazy amount of damage. This one, at first I was excited about this. I'm like, oh, okay. Erase all enemies buffs, so that's an AoE strip. But it's not a huge chance. It's only 50% when it's upgraded and cooldown 4 turns. So it's not like super insane, right? So you're thinking like, okay, nothing crazy, like super amazing just yet. This one, protect self for 1 turn, block 1 attack, 40% to reflect all damage at the attacker. Kind of interesting. Could be cool. I like that. I would like to test it out. And also, it's not an LD5, so maybe I'll actually 1% summon rates. Maybe I'll actually get this one day, right? But I probably still wouldn't use this specific skill. This one is probably what I would do. Draconic Guardian. When an ally is hit with a critical strike, 70% chance, and it goes up to 100% chance. 70% chance to restore 15% of all allies' energy. Does not affect allies with the same skill. Think about it for a second. When an ally is crit on, increase energy, increase attack gauge. When it's crit on, allies increase attack gauge. It's the Ragdoll. That's right. It's Ragdoll. This is Ragdoll, right? So it's a regular element, and this is the Ragdoll. Again, something for late game. Not very excited to get it early game, right? And that doesn't do a whole bunch of damage, but this is the Ragdoll of CALIBRIA Crystal Guardians. So we found the Artemiel, we found the Ragdoll. Then this one, 70% chance to erase all of own negative status effects. So potentially in Apex Arena if you want to switch up the skills for this when you need to. But I feel like this Draconic Guardian is just, I mean, when Ragdoll or no Ragdoll, what do you think? And then we got the HP leader skill. I think this is, Again, not a very exciting early game unit, but end game, I feel like this is definitely going to be in there. This is definitely going to be something like for a tanky bruisery team, like turn 2 to counter cleaves. This is going to be a solid cleave countering unit. So the next one we're going to talk about in this faction is Medusa. So she's not like a super DPS unit, but she's also does more DPS than other stuff. She's got some AoEs. She's not super tank. She's kind of like, as far as stats go, she's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Think of her as like the water homunculus for TOA, right? Think of her like that, because she's very similar to the water homunculus. She's got some decreased energy, which is like decreased attack gauge. She's going to be really nice for Otherworld Trials. She's probably one of the better Otherworld Trials units in the game, I feel. So we have attack enemy 2 times, toxic blades, poison, and then we have this detonates a plague within the enemy to deal 465% of attack and damage, 75 chance to poison target 2 times for 2 turns, right? Poison is nice against units that have a lot of HP. Toxic fog to all enemies. Slow and poison for 2 turns, which is nice. Slow and poison, right? You're thinking like, okay, TOA kind of thing. Well, Otherworld Trials in this game. We have this AoE, deals 300% of attack and damage, 50% chance to steal target's energy. Target is reduced to less than 15. Poison them for 3 turns. Again, it's very similar to like the water homunculus, which does dots and reduces attack gauge and freezes, right? So this is very similar to that. If you like that in Summoner's War, you'll like this, and you'll like Medusa in this game. Fires Death Ray, attack all enemies. 70% chance to petrify targets for 1 turn and reduce their energy by 50%. Again, more control, right? And then attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack does 230% damage. If it's poisoned, restore 10% of all allies' HP and reset this cooldown. And then we have this, which is basically like an accuracy leader skill. But this is going to be really nice in the Otherworld Trials. This is a nice control unit. Here's another one. He looks super cool. Not too many people excited about him as far as skill-wise, but I really get excited about him because I think he's got a couple different viable builds. He's an attack type unit, but the attack isn't super crazy high. None of the stats are like, he's kind of like a middle, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He's more like a balanced kind of unit. Let's take a look at the skill tree though to see what he can do. Silence for 2 turns is pretty nice, right? 35% chance though, goes up to 50% chance. This Absorbing Blade, jump towards an enemy 2 times, 2 attacks, 250% of attack and damage. After attacking, if own HP is greater than 50, recover 50% of own energy. So he keeps giving himself more turns. So he's most likely to attack a decent amount. Okay, keep that in mind. If HP is less than 50, recover 20% HP, which is not bad. So he can cycle turns and he can sustain himself. Skill 2, or second choice for skill 2, Corrupted Source. This is absorb all allies' negative status effects, convert them to attack an enemy, 4% of own max HP, and damage the enemy for each negative status effect absorbed. So this is actually already good for Leviathan. If you're gonna build a team for Leviathan, you're gonna build a team for Leviathan, right? So this is a really nice cleanse the out, because they're gonna take a lot of debuffs, right? So cleanse them and give it back to the boss. Very nice. Goes down to 3 turns, which I think is a pretty nice for him. Passive Rancor power. This, we'll come back to this, but this is potentially crazy. When being attacked, reflects 90% of damage at the attacker. Ignores defense. What? That's a lot. That's a big multiplier. If we're going like based on Summoner's War stuff, 90% of damage is potentially a lot. 70% chance to recover 20% of own energy, and it goes up. So it's 100% chance after it's maxed. Chance to recover 20% of own energy. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Reflect that much damage, percentage-wise, and then recovers attack gauge. That's not bad. That's not bad. Potentially it might be too much though. 90% of the damage. I mean, you could potentially like make him really, really tanky for defense and just ignore the fact that he's supposed to be an attack type unit and make sure he survives, and maybe put him on if HP is less than 50, recover 20%. So you may even see him on like defenses, fast and tanky, and he'll reflect a bunch of the damage that the offense is trying to do to him. But that's besides the point. That's kind of like a defensive thing. Also, he's got a speed lead for Guild War. This could potentially be like a good defensive unit there. Seraph's power. When affected by a negative status effect, 70% chance to gain immunity. That goes up to 100%. So, when affected by a negative status effect. And then we have this Corrupted Power, increased damage by 15% for each point of speed. Attacks require enemies' energy. Attacks reduce enemies' energy by 25%. 5% chance to gain a bonus attack turn. Keep this in mind, okay? Increase damage by 15 for each point of speed. So that means, hi, build me fast. That's your hint right there. Build me fast. Reduce enemies' energy by 25%. So this is like a Hua, right? This is like a Hua in Summoner's War. 5% to get a bonus attack turn. Hua, Hua. Hua, Hua, Hua. We're seeing a Hua unit, right? But we have this Absorbing Blade, which will also increase his attack gauge. Increase his attack gauge. So this is a Vertiheel and a Hua in the same unit. That's one build for him. There's an arena defense build for him, or like a arena/Guild War defense build for him with deflect damage, and then there's also the potential of just being crazy turn gauge manipulation. Like, just he would keep any boss on lockdown, like, completely. But no one seems to see this as like a really crazy potential thing of these two just keeping everything unlocked. But even the other ones, like, all of his skills are good. Like, I just feel like all his skills are good. So, yeah, I like everything. I like everything on this unit. He doesn't do crazy damage, but I just think the turn cycling is something people are definitely overlooking on this. I think it's probably a lot better than a lot of people thinking. They're just like, oh, he's not a good farmer. He doesn't do AoE damage. It's scary to think about, like, throwing away potentially amazing endgame units because they don't do a lot of damage. But I mean, he's not a super crazy fun early game AoE farmer, right? So people are going to be not that excited about him, but potentially keeps bosses. He seems like a great dungeon unit, keeping bosses on lockdown if you build him very fast, or you could build him for, I mean, he may even be able to solo things. If you think about it, like, we may see him soloing things in the future. So don't count that out. You're gonna be the one to do it. Well, first I have to summon him, right? So I think solid unit that people are overlooking. Definitely good for Leviathan, and potentially a lot more. So this bad boy, I actually have good old Popo. A lot of people are excited about him because he does AoE, and he does a lot of bleed, which is good against dungeons. So he's a defense-based unit. Let's take a look. He's tanky bruiser. Let's take a look at his skill tree. This is a triple hit and causes the target to bleed for 1 turn. So this is nice against bosses that have high HP. Second skill, this cleanses himself and gains an additional bonus turn. Then potentially do more of this, but I like this Jade Zen better. So Jade Zen status is, by the way, this goes down to 3 turns, right? It doesn't do crazy. I mean, it doesn't farm as fast as like other stuff, but this is good for bosses, right? He's also has an AoE defense break as well. Jade Zen status, damage taken cannot exceed 15% of own max HP and will always counterattack. So think of this in Summoner's War terms as the Light Golem, right? He's kind of like I was going to say he's kind of like a Feng Yan and Light Golem. He's really not like a Feng Yan. He kind of, I want to say Feng Yan because he's a panda, but he's not. He's a defense-based unit. He's like a Light Golem mixed with a Mantura probably. And also dots. Mixed with Mantura and something that does poison. Anyway, this is the AoE, reduce defense and cause them to bleed. So we got bleed and bleed, which people are excited about early game because dots to kill bleeds to kill the big bosses, right? We've got this, when being attacked, 70% chance to reduce damage taken by 20%, while alive, reduce all allies and enemies HP regen. I don't really like this very much. I'm not a huge fan of this. This is kind of like the fire assassin in Summoner's War. So, I mean, I would rather have the AoE defense break, personally. And then we have the passive Hidden Rage, which stacks Rage. I haven't really tried this too much yet. I really like this Bamboo Grove. So this is, I think, the best build for him, these 3. And he's kind of a mixture between... He's kind of like, because Mantura in Summoner's War does AoE defense breaks and dots. And then some that does... What does couple defense breaks skill 1? I don't know, like... The Barbaric Kings do like couple defense breaks, couple dots, poisons, skill 1. So basically he's like a Light Golem mixed with a Mantua mixed with some extra dots. That's a good way of thinking about it. People are excited about this, but I think he's a good early game unit for dungeons. He's not a bad unit. He's a pretty good unit, but maybe he's a little too overhyped because people call him like triple S tier. Like, I think he's a little bit too overhyped. I don't know that he's gonna necessarily be super OP in endgame, but he will take a few hits to kill though. Each attack cannot exceed 50% of max of own max HP. So that takes like a lot of hits. So you have to bring in multi hits to kill him. But anyway, interesting unit. I have him. I enjoy him. But people are saying he's triple S tier. I don't know if he's triple S tier. I would say he's a pretty good, pretty solid unit though. If you get him, you might be content with him. On to the evil ones. So these ones are the ones that people are more hyped for, more like re-rolling specifically for some of these units, some of the evil units. So first things first, we got the Lich King. This guy is one of your big AoE DPS wave clear units, right? So people are like, oh, he does a lot of damage. I love him, right? He's one of the more hyped units right now. He is really good though. So he's, as you can see, attack-based unit. He has a lot more attack than defense. He is, think about this as Tishar meets the Dark Demon. Oh, really? Oh, okay. I'm listening now. Chain Lightning attacked up to 3 enemies, 190% of attack and damage. Attacks are imbued with additional 30% crit rate, so you don't even need a crazy amount of crit for this skill. When only 1 enemy is alive, deal double damage and increase crit rate to 100%. And he's got AoEs too. Thunder. Summon Thunder to attack an enemy, deal 515% of attack and 15% of target's max HP and damage. Okay, so on this build, if you want to do Thunder, excuse me, I burped. If you want to do big damage to a single enemy, like in bosses, you can switch it to Thunder, and it's going to do big damage from his attack power and also target 15% of the target's max HP. Consider this, think about this kind of like a Daphnis in Summoner's War, right? Like, fixed damage based on target's max HP. Good for bosses. Thunderstorm summons a massive wave of thunder. Remember, you can reassign these. If you want to farm dungeons, you can assign it to, you can change it to doing the thunder skill. And then if you want to go back to farming to level up some of your food units, then you can, or like increase XP for your units, then you can go switch to the AoE skills. So you can continually change it based on what you're farming for the day. Thunderstorm summons a massive wave of thunder to attack all enemies, 290% of attack and damage, 30% chance to reset this skill's cooldown. If target is killed, 100% to reset the skill's cooldown. Like Tishar, I said Tishar, right? I said Tishar. So it's like a Tishar, or sometimes a Daphnis if you need him to do a Daphnis, etc., etc. Fork Lightning, unleash Fork Lightning to attack all enemies, excuse me, 295% of attack and damage, deals more damage based on the number of allies killed, up to 2 times. So this is, I mean, it's kind of like you think about this like a Lydia, right? More damage based on the number of allies killed, where Lydia will do more damage based on the amount of DPS, like the amount of damage that your team has taken. So if you're looking for a turn two thing to maybe build him more tanky with crit damage, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't necessarily think that, I don't feel like I would build him with Fork Lightning though. I feel like I would build him Thunderstorm for farming to level things up, and then Thunder if I was going to probably do boss levels. Then we have passive Undead Soul. This is where we get into Dark Demon territory. Resurrect is an invincible spirit after being killed for 3 turns. If the spirit kills an enemy, revive with 25 HP and increase own attack by 50%. Effect stacks up to 2 times. Spirit may not be revived by other heroes. If all other allies are killed, the spirit will disappear as well. Kind of like the Dark Demon, which is already OP in Summoner's War. Passive Death Will. So this is both passives, though. Both passives. Resurrect as Invincible Spirit after being killed for 2 turns. This is 2 turns. This is 3 turns. If an ally is killed during these 2 turns, Spirit has a 70% chance to revive the ally with 1 HP and grant them with invincibility. Spirit may not be revived by other allies, etc., etc. If all other allies are killed, the spirit will disappear as well. So this has got that kind of like thing, like if you kill him first, like things could still happen. Crazy things could still happen. But I see him as just a solid unit overall, very scary. 44% attack power in Guild War is really crazy, right? So potentially one of your best Guild War offense units that you have. And he's got the death prevention too, and really good cleave unit, really good Guild War offense unit. Here's the thing, and also really good farmer, right? Really good farmer, and also good for dungeons because does big damage against the boss, and clears waves. So I mean, this is one of the things that people are really re-rolling for, really hyped about, because people always get more excited about the DPS units than anything else. Bagel, I wonder why you like this monster. Listen, she's a good monster. It's not just because her boobs are sending out heart radiation. Why are they coming from her boobs, though? Like, they really are coming from her boobs, right? Anyway, Succubus, another one in the evil faction. She is an assist type unit, and she's basically a mashup of a Succubus in Summoner's War, and Galleon and Freya, depending on how you build her, right? So she's got the first skill. I relate everything to Summoner's War, but in this game, I feel like it's justified. Whip 2 times, 80% chance to sleep the target for 1 turn. Oh, sleep, skill 1, okay. Dance of Terror, summon souls to attack all enemies 3 times. AoE, triple hit. Each attack deals 70% of attack and dispel enemies' buffs, so strip, and affect target with HP regen lock. So, strip and heal block. Basically, strip is not bad though. And then we get the debuff trigger rate. It's only a 30% chance though, so it's not like a crazy chance. May resist the strips, but we'll see. It's a 3-turn cooldown though. 3-turn cooldown. And then your other option for skill 2, whip all enemies with fatal strike 3 times. Each attack deals attack damage. 75% chance to sleep enemies at the end of the turn for 1 turn. But in like Apex Arena, you can see like what your enemies are usually like. Okay. Do they probably have immunity on things? Do I need the strip, or can I just go for the triple hit of sleep? This is also potentially pretty good for the TOA equivalent in this game, the Otherworld's Trials as well. The Charm Wings is the exciting one. The Charm Wings is the exciting one that you're gonna love. Spread Charm Wings to reduce all enemies' defense for 3 turns. Increase allies' attack for 3 turns and grant immunity to self for 1 turn. AoE defense break, 3 turns. AoE attack power buff, 3 turns. This is the Galleon. We found the Galleon of this game, guys. GG. And then this is a 4-turn cooldown. The other options for skill 3, I mean, this is going to be good for dungeons, it's going to be good for arena offense. You're going to see this being used a lot, just like Galleon and Summoner's War. Passive Peaceful Sleep. Own attacks will not awaken sleeping enemies. 70% chance to recover 50% of own energy. This is already things that are built into the Succubuses in Summoner's War. So this is like you're like, okay, that's the same thing. Succubus here, Succubus there, plus a Galleon. So I don't know that people are going to, I mean, maybe for like Apex Arena, people might like this more. But for arena offense and for dungeons, they're going to use the Charm Wings. Passive Final Word. Upon dying, 70. This is the Freya part. This is the Freya part, right? Upon dying, 70% chance to erase all allies' negative status effects and restore all of their HP and energy. Which means, if she dies first, if you build her squishy on arena defense and they nuke her, and they have defense breaks and other stuff on the rest of the team, she cleanses it and she restores their energy too, actually. Restores HP, clears negative status effects, and energy, which means they all get another turn. Because remember, energy is not just HP, energy is attack gauge. So that's potential. I mean, that's already better than Freya. So this is potentially like super OP. This is potentially super OP. And then you can, I think she's a really, really solid unit. Arena all allied heroes, resistance 55%. So, yeah, I think she could potentially be something that you see a lot of. And she's good both offensively or defensively, however you need to build her. And if you want to use her offensively for a while, and then you're like, oh, I found better stuff that I like better than her offensively, you could just switch her to the defensive build, change her runes around, and then she's a good defense unit. So she's flexible and changes early game or late game, like whatever. That's one of the nice things about this game is like, if you don't need a unit for one thing, then like if you're using it for one thing and then you're like, oh, I found a better thing for that spot, you can just change it. You can change the unit and use it in a different way. Before we get to the last one, a couple honorable mentions. I was going to include these and then I'm like, maybe not. Abyss Lord, he is a tanky defense-based unit that potentially on Stun Revenge is really nice. He's, of course, you see he's defense-based. He doesn't have crazy high speed, but he does have this passive that he can counterattack when he's attacked, and he also has an AoE. He's got some other damage mitigation stuff there, and he also has an arena leader skill there. So people were saying, a couple people that I knew were like, oh, he's amazing. I'm like, he's not my cup of tea necessarily, but I can see the uses for him. Another one, Ironheart. He's potentially really good unit for arena defense. He's a defense-based unit. He's got defense here, and then he's just got a lot of tanky things that help take less, your team take less damage. He's not a very exciting unit, but he's a nice arena defense unit. However, this one is, first off, so exciting. Second off, so exciting. Third off, you guys are excited about her. I'm excited about her. We're all excited about her. The Spider Queen, she's getting very hyped. She's a tag type unit, which is always good. And some of her skills are pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. And it's exciting. It's exciting to use, right? Summon Exploding Spider with rushes towards an enemy, detonates 360 attack and damage, 25% chance to ignore defense. Hey, ignore defense, not that bad. Arachnid Army summons a group of exploding spiders. It always has an advantage over enemies. Okay, cool. Element advantage is always nice. Blinding Web, spray a cobweb at one enemy to deal 565% of attack and damage, 85% chance to transfer negative status effects to the target. Okay, that's not bad for... like 3 turns, not bad for like some dungeons, potentially, right? Not just dungeons. I'm saying not just dungeons. But Bega, why is she so amazing? Like, look at her leader skill. Oh, crit rate. Well, why is she so amazing? I don't know what you're saying. She's so amazing. Let's take a look at these skill 3 options, right? Trapping Web. Unleash a massive blast of cobwebs at all enemies. 30% chance to increase enemy skill cooldowns to the maximum. It's only 30% though, but everyone's super hyped about this. This is the Zyros, basically, but it's not a very good chance to increase enemy skill cooldowns to their maximum. I think that maybe this is going to need to be buffed at some point in the future to be a higher percentage, because 30% chance is not really that crazy. But she's got AoE, DPS, and skill reset. She's more like Samanth. Isn't she more like Samanth because it's not like a great chance to activate? Samanth is still higher than that though. But besides the point, she's like kind of Zyros-y. Although, if you use this one, passive Hypnotic Net, erase a random enemy buff at the start of each turn. If a buff is erased, 70% chance to sleep the target for... Oh, she's a Celia too! She's a Zyros, and she's a Celia. Okay. I mean, she doesn't have as crazy speed. Base speed is Celia, but she's a Zyros if you need it. She's a Celia if you need it. Skill 3 passive Cobweb. While alive, prevent all allies and enemies from having a higher speed than self. Does not work on bosses or targets with its... Isn't this a Leo? Yes, that's right. It's a Leo. She's a Celia, Zyros, Leo, whatever you need. She's one of those. So she's very hyped right now. People are very excited about her. Mostly because, like, farming, this is nice, right? And then she does some more, potentially, this AoE. Really nice for farming. And then if you need to use it for other stuff, you can use it for other stuff. But, yeah, a lot of people are very excited about the Spider Queen. Very hyped. People are rerolling specifically to get her. Plus, she has boobs. I mean, was that out loud? Oh, oops, my bad. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's it for this one. There's so many other good units. We're going to talk about, like, the pros and cons of all the different units in the game. I've been enjoying the game. I just want to go crazy and summon all these units. I got a couple so far, but we got to catch them all, right? Where's my wallet? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I took some of my opinions and also some of you guys' opinions on what you like. I was trying to gauge like what people were re-rolling for, what people were hyped about in the community already. So I was trying to take all of those and combine those to give you the input on both of those, because I know I did include some that were more like end game things that people aren't really re-rolling for, but that I think are potentially like the Artemiel Ragdoll of this game, for more for like end game PvP. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this one. I'll see you as always in the next one.